Ma'am, your debt totals $314,000. We'll be proceeding with asset seizure in 48 hours. I stared at the bank officer like she'd spoken a different language. That can't be right. I never took out a loan. Her voice was cold. Your name's on all of it, and your husband left the country 2 months ago. If you'd asked me a few months ago, I'd have said my marriage was solid. Maybe not a fairy tale, but it worked. I was the steady one, the planner, the one who made sure bills were paid, groceries bought, appointments made. Jason was a dreamer, the type to chase the next big thing. He always had one more deal on the edge of greatness. I didn't mind. That's what love is, right? Balance. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Jason came home one day glowing. "I've got it," he said, pacing the kitchen like a man possessed. "A logistics app for small retailers. I talked to a VC group. They love it." "That sounds promising," I said, cautiously. "Do you need help building a pitch?" "Actually, we're past the pitch." He smiled, pulling me in. "They just need a personal guarantee. Temporary. Just to show good faith." Something about his tone made my stomach twist. "What kind of guarantee?" "It's standard, babe. A soft credit check. They'll reverse it once funds are in." I hesitated. He kissed my forehead. "You trust me, right?" The next day, he handed me a single sheet, one signature. "Just this. I've already signed mine." I looked it over. It was dense legal language, barely understandable. "Can I take this to my friend at the firm?" I asked. He shook his head. "Babe, they want this in by tomorrow. If you don't trust me." He didn't finish the sentence, just left it hanging like a loaded weapon. I signed and forgot about it. 2 weeks later, Jason was buzzing with excitement. "We're about to close. I just need to fly out to Dubai to meet the investors." "Dubai?" "That seems sudden." "Babe, this is the moment. I'll be gone a week, 2, max." He packed like he was going on vacation. I helped him zip the suitcase. He kissed me like nothing was wrong. He left with a wink. "When I come back, everything changes." He was right, just not the way I imagined. 4 weeks passed, then 5. No return flight. Calls started going to voicemail. Then I got a call. Not from Jason, but from a bank. "We're calling to confirm your payment schedule on the business loan." "What loan?" "The $300,000 startup line, secured jointly by you and your husband, Jason Moore." My throat went dry. "There must be a mistake. I never." "Ma'am, your signature is on the documentation. We emailed copies." I opened the email. There it was. My name, my signature. The same form he gave me weeks ago, but attached to a massive loan. Lines of legal text, clauses, interest rates. Nothing like what he described. The bank rep's voice returned. "We've also been unable to reach Mr. Moore. He last used his account from an IP address in Spain." "Spain?" I whispered. "Yes, ma'am. And the funds, they've already been withdrawn." I barely remember hanging up the phone. I just sat there, staring at the screen, heart pounding, hands shaking. I had always been careful, always responsible. And yet somehow, I was now $300,000 in debt, because the man I married had walked me right into a trap. "Jason," I whispered, "what did you do to me?" The next morning, I met with a lawyer. I laid out everything, the form, the forged details, the disappearing act. He leaned back in his chair, sighing. "I've seen this before. He probably timed it around a payment delay, so you wouldn't find out until he was safely out of the country. But can't I prove I didn't know?" He shrugged. "The signature's yours, and the account it was deposited into, joint. The law sees that as mutual consent. So I'm stuck? Unless you can prove fraud or duress, you're liable. And the worst part," he added, I braced myself. "If he doesn't start payments, they'll come for you first." My parents were furious. "You always said he was a dreamer," my mom snapped. "This is why people marry within their class." "He used you," my father added. "We told you he wasn't stable. But this wasn't the time for 'I told you so.' This was my life, unraveling in front of everyone, and still no word from Jason." I opened his computer, password protected. I checked his drawers, empty. Even the safe behind our closet mirror was gone. But one thing remained, a manila envelope, slipped behind the bookshelf. Inside, printed emails, some receipts, and a single photo of Jason with another woman, holding hands on a beach in Marbella, Spain. The email headers revealed her name, Isabel. She wasn't just anyone. She was listed on business invoices going back months. "He didn't just leave me," I whispered. "He had a backup plan all along." Every receipt, hotel confirmation, and flight showed they had planned this months ago, while he was sleeping next to me. Then I opened the drafts folder. That's when my heart stopped. A series of emails he had written, but never sent. To her, to lawyers, to a private bank in Switzerland. One draft stood out. It read, "Once it clears, transfer to Isabel's name. Make sure Ava never finds out. She thinks this is for the app." I dropped the laptop. Jason had never planned to return. He didn't just run from the marriage. He built his freedom on my destruction. I took a leave from work. I sold what little jewelry I had left. The same ones Jason once gave me on birthdays he barely remembered. My goal was simple: find him, face him, and get my life back. He thought I'd fall apart. He thought I was too weak to fight. He had no idea what he created. Marbella was everything I imagined. Glittering coastlines, luxury cars, a sun that didn't feel like it should touch liars. I checked into a cheap hotel and headed straight to the bank listed in Jason's drafts. The receptionist gave me a polite smile until I handed over the printed email and Jason's account number. She blinked, typed something, then went pale. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't disclose client details. He stole from me." She hesitated, then scribbled an address on a sticky note and slid it across the counter. "Off the record, I've seen him around there. Be careful." It was a modern villa, tucked above the coastline. The gate was open. I walked in like I belonged, heart pounding. I saw him, Jason. He was laughing by the pool, shirtless, cocktail in hand, with her beside him. Isabel. Jason. He froze, glass halfway to his lips. Ava? Surprised, his face shifted. Not guilt, not shame, annoyance. "You shouldn't be here. You put me in debt. You signed a loan in my name. You ran." He set his drink down, calmly. "It was the only way out. You were suffocating me." "Excuse me? You always had everything perfect. Bills paid, lists made, a tidy little life. But I didn't want tidy. So you left me in $300,000 of mess?" "It was business, Ava." His voice had no remorse. And Isabel, she just smirked. "I helped him get out. He deserves to be free." "You can't just get away with this," I said. "I'll press charges." Jason shrugged. "You signed. The signature's yours. The account was joint." I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Instead, I smiled, because I'd recorded everything. Back in town, I filed a full report with evidence, documents, and the recording. The officer said, "It may take time, but with this, we can build a case for coercion and fraud." Then I did something Jason didn't expect. I hired a private investigator, not just to freeze the assets, but to find out what else he'd hidden and who helped him do it. 1 week later, my investigator called. "You were right," he said. "The documents show something strange." "What?" "The loan was signed over to a trust, created in your name, but with a second signer." "Who?" "Your sister." My stomach dropped. "That's impossible." "You might want to talk to her, because based on the timestamps, she signed the documents before you ever saw them." My sister, Natalie, the one person I still believed in, the one who sat on my couch crying after her divorce, the one I helped through every breakdown, every bad decision. And she was listed on my loan documents weeks before I ever signed. "Tell me this is a mistake," I said, staring at her as she opened the door. "Ava, don't lie. I have the timestamp. You were involved." Her face crumbled. "I didn't know what I was signing. Jason said it was part of a surprise for you. He said you were starting a new business. He told me it would help you get approved faster if I signed first, that it was just temporary." "And you believed him?" "He's your husband. Why wouldn't I?" "That wasn't the worst part," she added. We were talking a lot back then. He said you two were struggling. I didn't think." You didn't think because you were too busy helping him ruin me. I turned to leave, but she called out. Wait, I didn't know about Spain. I didn't know he'd run. I thought, you thought you could betray me and walk away? Her silence was my answer. I walked out, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I got to work. With everything I had, the emails, recordings, Natalie's signature, bank transfers, flight records, I built my case. My lawyer filed a civil fraud suit. The private investigator froze Jason's offshore account. And the local authorities began extradition proceedings. Turns out, Spanish courts don't like financial fugitives with ties to international fraud. 3 months later, I saw him again, in court, wearing a suit he probably didn't pay for. His lawyer was smug. Jason looked bored, until they played the recording. That sense, make sure Ava never finds out. She thinks this is for the app. He flinched. Natalie was called to testify. Her face turned red, voice shaking. By the end of it, the judge issued an order. Jason's frozen accounts were to be liquidated and repaid to me. The bank dropped 80% of the liability due to proven fraud, and I was awarded damages for emotional and financial harm. After the ruling, Jason tried to approach me. Ava, I made mistakes. You made decisions, I snapped. We could try again. I'm a different person now. I laughed. You're right, you are. I turned and walked away. That was the last time I ever saw him. I moved out of the apartment we once shared. I started freelancing, slowly rebuilding. I took a solo trip to Portugal, sat on a beach, alone, free, and one night I whispered into the sea, "Thank you for turning my destruction into strength." Because Jason thought he'd broken me. He thought he'd left me with nothing, but I had something he never will again. Peace.